Hey everyone, welcome back to the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that touches all of us: how to find real happiness. Whether you're feeling stuck or just want to bring more joy into your life, this episode is for you.
And I'm Sarah, your co-host. We're excited to explore this topic because, let's be honest, happiness can feel like a mystery sometimes. What really makes us happy? Is it success, relationships, or something else entirely? We'll be breaking it all down in a way that's easy to understand and apply.
Exactly. So, grab a cup of coffee, relax, and join us as we discuss what happiness truly means and how you can find it in your daily life. We'll cover everything from the science behind happiness to practical tips you can start using today.
And for our English learners out there, this is a great opportunity to practice listening to conversational English while learning something valuable. So let's get started on this journey to finding real happiness.
All right, let's start by asking a simple question. What is happiness? It sounds straightforward, but when you really think about it, happiness can mean different things to different people, right?
Absolutely, Jason. For some people, happiness might be a feeling of joy or contentment. For others, it could be about achieving their goals or spending time with loved ones. It's interesting how personal and unique happiness can be.
Exactly. There's that idea of fleeting happiness, like when you buy something new or have a fun experience. And then there's long-term happiness, which is more about a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose.
Yes, and I think that's an important distinction. Fleeting happiness is temporary. It's like eating your favorite dessert. It feels great in the moment, but it doesn't last. Long-term happiness, on the other hand, comes from things like meaningful relationships, personal growth, and a sense of purpose.
Right. It's also interesting how cultural backgrounds can shape our understanding of happiness. For example, in some cultures, happiness might be closely tied to community and family, while in others, it might focus more on individual achievements.
That's a great point. And then there are common misconceptions about happiness. Some people think they'll be happy once they reach a certain milestone, like getting a promotion or buying a house. But research shows that external achievements only bring temporary boosts to our happiness levels.
Exactly. It's like that saying, happiness is a journey, not a destination. If we're always waiting for something to make us happy, we might miss out on the little things that bring joy every day.
So true, Jason. And that's why it's so important to understand what happiness really means for you. Once you define it, you can start working towards it in a way that's more sustainable and fulfilling.
Well said, Sarah. So, to sum up, happiness isn't just about the highs of life. It's about finding balance, meaning, and joy in everyday moments. In the next segment, we'll look at the science behind happiness and what researchers have discovered about how we can cultivate it.
Stay with us. There's so much more to uncover about finding real happiness.
Welcome back. In this segment, we're diving into the science of happiness. Sarah, it's fascinating how much research has been done in this area, isn't it?
It really is, Jason. One of the most interesting things I've learned is that happiness isn't just about luck or external circumstances. There's actually a lot of science behind it, especially in the field of positive psychology.
Right. Positive psychology focuses on what makes life worth living, and it's shown that happiness is influenced by a combination of factors. So, let's talk about a few key findings. For starters, did you know that about 50% of our happiness is determined by genetics?
I did. It's called the happiness set point. This means that some people are naturally predisposed to feel happier than others. But don't worry if you weren't born with a high set point. There's still a lot you can do to improve your happiness.
Exactly. That's where the other 50% comes in. Researchers say that about 10% of our happiness comes from life circumstances, like our job, income, or where we live. The remaining 40% is influenced by our intentional activities, things we do to boost our mood and well-being.
That's so empowering. It means that while we can't control everything, we have a significant amount of control over our happiness through our actions and mindset. Things like practicing gratitude, nurturing relationships, and finding meaning in life can really make a difference.
Absolutely. One study that really stands out is the Harvard Study of Adult Development. It followed participants for over 80 years and found that the quality of our relationships is one of the strongest predictors of happiness and health. It's not about the number of friends you have, but how deep and supportive those relationships are.
That's incredible, and it ties into another key point: gratitude. Studies have shown that regularly practicing gratitude can increase happiness levels. Even simple things like keeping a gratitude journal or reflecting on positive moments in your day can have a big impact.
Yes, and let's not forget about mindfulness. Research shows that being present and fully engaged in the moment can reduce stress and increase happiness. Mindfulness practices, like meditation, can help train your brain to focus on the present rather than worrying about the past or future.
That's such a powerful tool. And it's amazing how small changes, like being more mindful or expressing gratitude, can rewire our brains over time. It just goes to show that happiness isn't just a feeling. It's something we can actively cultivate.
Absolutely. So, to wrap up this segment, the science of happiness tells us that while some factors are out of our control, a lot depends on the choices we make and the habits we build. In the next segment, we'll get into some practical tips that you can start using today to boost your happiness.
Stay tuned. We're just getting started on how to find real happiness.
Welcome back, everyone. Now that we've explored what happiness is and the science behind it, let's get into some practical tips for finding real happiness. Sarah, where should we start?
Let's start with something simple but powerful: practicing gratitude. One of the easiest ways to boost your happiness is to focus on what you're thankful for. You can keep a gratitude journal where you write down a few things you're grateful for each day. It shifts your mindset from focusing on what's lacking to appreciating what you have.
That's a great one. And it doesn't have to take much time. Even just a few minutes a day can make a big difference. Another tip is mindfulness and meditation. We touched on this earlier, but being present and aware can help reduce stress and increase overall happiness. There are lots of apps and resources that offer guided meditations to help you get started.
Exactly. And speaking of reducing stress, exercise is another fantastic way to boost your mood. Physical activity releases endorphins, which are natural mood lifters. You don't have to run a marathon. Just a daily walk or yoga session can help.
I love that one. Exercise not only helps physically, but mentally too. Another tip is to set realistic goals. Sometimes we chase after big, lofty goals that can feel overwhelming. Breaking those goals into smaller, manageable steps can make the journey more enjoyable and less stressful.
That's so true. Achieving those smaller steps gives you a sense of accomplishment, which boosts your happiness. Another key tip is building strong relationships. Like we mentioned earlier, meaningful connections are crucial for long-term happiness. Take time to nurture your relationships, whether it's with family, friends, or even colleagues.
Yes, and along those lines, giving back is another powerful way to find happiness. Volunteering or helping others can give you a sense of purpose and improve your mood. It's amazing how doing something kind for someone else can make you feel happier.
I love that. It really shows how interconnected we are. Another tip that might surprise some people is learning to say no. Sometimes we stretch ourselves too thin, trying to please everyone. Setting boundaries can help you focus on what truly matters to you, which ultimately leads to greater happiness.
That's such an important point. Saying no when you need to allows you to say yes to things that bring you joy. Lastly, embracing a growth mindset can help. This means seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as failures. When you view life as a learning journey, even setbacks can contribute to your happiness.
That's a powerful way to look at things. So, to sum up, there are many ways to cultivate happiness: gratitude, mindfulness, exercise, strong relationships, giving back, setting boundaries, and adopting a growth mindset. It's all about finding what works best for you and making it a regular part of your life.
Exactly! And remember, happiness is a journey. It's about making small, consistent changes that add up over time. In the next segment, we'll talk about some common barriers to happiness and how to overcome them.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more insights on how to find real happiness.
Welcome back. In this segment, we're going to talk about some of the common barriers to happiness and how we can overcome them. Sarah, what's one of the biggest obstacles you think people face when it comes to finding happiness?
I think one of the biggest barriers is stress. Whether it's work, family, or financial worries, stress can weigh heavily on us and make it hard to feel happy. Managing stress is key to improving overall well-being.
That's a great point. Chronic stress can really take a toll on our mental and physical health. Practicing stress management techniques like deep breathing, exercise, or even taking a break can help reduce its impact.
Another major barrier is the comparison trap. With social media, it's so easy to compare ourselves to others. We see the highlight reels of other people's lives and feel like we're not measuring up. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness.
Yes, comparison is definitely a happiness killer. One way to combat this is to remind yourself that what you see online is often curated. It's not the full picture. Focus on your own journey and what makes you happy, rather than what others are doing.
Exactly. Another barrier is negative self-talk. Sometimes we're our own worst critics. That inner voice that says, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," can really hold us back from feeling happy.
Negative self-talk is tough, but it's something we can work on. Try to become aware of those thoughts and challenge them. Replace them with more positive, affirming statements. It takes practice, but it can make a big difference over time.
Another obstacle I see a lot is materialism. Many people believe that having more things, like a bigger house or a fancy car, will make them happy. But studies show that once our basic needs are met, more stuff doesn't necessarily lead to more happiness.
That's so true. Focusing on experiences and relationships often brings more lasting happiness than material possessions. Instead of buying things, try investing in activities that bring joy, like spending time with loved ones or pursuing a hobby.
And let's not forget about lack of purpose. When people don't have a sense of direction or meaning in their lives, it can be hard to feel truly happy. Finding something that gives you a sense of purpose, whether it's your job, a volunteer opportunity, or a personal project, can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Purpose gives us a reason to get up in the morning. So, to recap, some common barriers to happiness include stress, comparison, negative self-talk, materialism, and lack of purpose. By addressing these obstacles, we can clear the path to a happier, more fulfilling life.
That's right. In the next segment, we'll answer some questions from our listeners and share more insights on how to find real happiness. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Now it's time for our Q&A session, where we'll answer some of the most common questions about finding happiness. Sarah, what's our first question?
Our first question comes from a listener named Emily. She asks, I've been feeling stuck lately, and I'm not sure how to get out of this rut. What are some small steps I can take to feel happier?
Great question, Emily. Feeling stuck is something we all experience from time to time. One small step you can take is to change your routine. Sometimes, doing the same thing every day can lead to feeling stagnant. Try a new activity, like a hobby or a class, to break out of that rut.
Our first question comes from a listener named Emily. She asks, I've been feeling stuck lately, and I'm not sure how to get out of this rut. What are some small steps I can take to feel happier?
Absolutely. Let's move on to the next question. This one is from Ravi, who asks, how do I deal with negative people in my life? Their energy really affects my happiness.
That's a tough one, Ravi. Dealing with negative people can be draining. One strategy is to set boundaries. It's okay to limit your time with people who bring you down. You can also try to steer conversations toward more positive topics or gently express how their negativity affects you.
Great points, Sarah. Another tip is to focus on your own mindset. While you can't control others, you can control how you react. Try to maintain a positive outlook and not let their negativity influence your mood. Surrounding yourself with supportive, uplifting people can also help balance things out.
Exactly. Our next question is from Carlos. He asks, is it possible to find happiness while going through tough times?
That's a deep question, Carlos. The short answer is yes. But it might look different during tough times. Happiness during difficult periods often comes from finding small moments of joy or peace, rather than expecting everything to be perfect.
Right. It's about resilience. Even in hard times, practicing self-care, staying connected with supportive people, and focusing on what you can control can help. Remember, it's okay to feel a range of emotions. Happiness doesn't mean ignoring the tough stuff. It means finding light even in the darkness.
That's such an important perspective. Finally, we have a question from Sophia, who asks, how can I maintain happiness when life gets busy and overwhelming?
Great question, Sophia. One tip is to prioritize self-care. Even when life gets hectic, carving out time for yourself, whether it's a few minutes of meditation, a quick walk, or reading, can help maintain your happiness.
Yes, and I'd add that simplifying your schedule can help. Sometimes we take on too much and end up feeling overwhelmed. Focus on what truly matters and don't be afraid to say no to things that don't align with your priorities.
Absolutely. Remember, happiness is a journey, and it's okay to take small steps. Thank you to everyone who sent in questions. We love hearing from you and hope these answers help.
We'll be wrapping up with a quick conclusion after this. Stay tuned. And that's a wrap for today's episode on how to find real happiness. We've covered a lot, from defining what happiness means to understanding the science behind it, sharing practical tips, and tackling common barriers.
That's right. Remember, happiness isn't a destination but a journey. By making small, intentional changes in your daily life, you can cultivate a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment.
Exactly. We hope you found these insights helpful and that you're inspired to take steps towards your own happiness. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit from it.
And don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips and updates. We love hearing from you, so feel free to send in your questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, take care and